All right, the top two.
Yes.
Now there's this just only just says see above, and like this is just basically at number 2, Donald Trump, at number 1, Ron DeSantis.
Whoa.
Trump's previous ranking number 1, DeSantis' previous ranking number 2.
Whoa.
So the
Now
top
this
2
is
spots.
news
Now
here.
this is news here.
This is the illusion of news here.
This is something to talk about, people.
This is content, baby.
So Ron DeSantis leapfrogging Donald Trump into the number 1 spot, according to the Washington Post, for the strongest Republican contender for 2024. All right, so like here is something that's actually like of note. There's actually a real possibility is that, like, for instance, I think today Alex Jones just endorsed Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
And it seems like people are all assuming Trump was going to run. I mean, I know we are.
Oh yeah. He's essentially leaked it in the press several times that he's already made the decision and he's just picking a day.
I guess the interesting thing with this is like I thought with DeSantis, it's a matter of like the Republican Party is just like they need an option B,
right,
in case Trump is indicted or or
I mean, it's
dies
impossible
or
to
something.
imagine actually happening, but I guess you have to plan for all contingencies.
Right. But I think like that planning is taking on a life of its own. And I think DeSantis really feels that like this is his moment.
Yes,
I think
if he does, it's because he's not that bright.
And I think a lot of the Republican media would kill to do anything other than have to defend Donald Trump over and talk about him over and over and over again. Because he's not one of them either.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I honestly kind of think that DeSantis is still a less good choice for the Republicans than Trump because what they think is there's all this baggage about the election theft and all that shit and his just residual scandals and the whole the threat of a loss of democracy and all that. But again, that's stuff that's mostly being assimilated and processed by people who are still invested in these institutions and structures, which is not going to be your average Republican primary voter. They don't really care about any of that stuff. So Trump is able to appeal to a non-politicized audience of people who are largely alienated from our institutions, who don't really care about that stuff. He comes across still, even after being president and all the culture wars, he comes across as more economically and in some cases socially moderate than the Republican Party in general.
Yeah.
And that is appealing to a lot of people. And DeSantis, if he gets in there, he is just the Republican Party.
Yeah.
He is the Republican Party and its entire cultural war obsessions and its economic agenda. And he cannot have the same heterodox appeal to a general election audience that Trump does.
And he is as governor, like he's clearly running for president. Mm-hmm. And by doing the right wing internet story of the week and like legislating to that agenda. Yeah. Like I'm going to put PTSD veterans as make them teachers.
No, he's a genius.
We're gonna put trans kids in jail
because
we're gonna make it illegal to teach like the history of slavery in schools.
Yeah. Like this is where you got to look at him and you're like, this guy's either a genius or he's a fucking idiot. Either way, he is riding a wave that I don't think he fully understands. But like. So once Trump establishes the new terrain of the Republican Party and its relationship to media and its relationship to its base as like, oh, this isn't about policy anymore. We don't care about that anymore. This is about raw emotional response. That's what we want out of our politics. And Trump provided them with this catharsis that they'd never had before, and they don't want to give up. And so if he wants it again, that's why without DeSantis there, it looks like there's nobody who could even sniff him. But what DeSantis does understand at some primordial level is that, okay, if the way that you can get traction is through like being involved with being emotionally involved with like the traumas, the culture wars, you have to make news. And Trump could make news by being Trump. You're just some asshole in Florida, but you are the governor of a state. So if you can make news that is just, hey, what are you mad about? CRT, we're banning it. What's this stuff? Grooming, no more. Disney, you hate that? We're getting rid of them. And just every time there's a news cycle,
it doesn't matter.
Here he is to associate himself.
And it's
with
like the Disney thing. It doesn't matter if these policies or things go anywhere. They dropped that immediately.
Who cares?
Like he got the headlines for the week.
Headline:
like, we're standing
DeSantis,
up to the Disney groomers.
Thing you're mad about, DeSantis is dealing with.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is like he is becoming a celebrity through action.
And you know what's another thing? But
he's still way, way, way behind Trump, though.
Well, I mean, okay, like so you disagree with the Washington Post. Like Trump should obviously be in the number one spot. And because I think like they think that like he's going to be dinged by this, like, the many investigations into him, and like, but I sort of feel like the way you do is like, I think like the entire American system, like our legal and political system, is in a fucking suicide pact with the presidency, and like you cannot, no matter what he did, you cannot indict a sitting or former president for the crimes they committed in office.
Can't do it.
No matter how blatant.
It's a red line.
Because
the job is doing crimes.
Yeah.
You're asking these people to publicly commit mass murder for 4 years and then step down and live the rest of their life. You can't ask people to do that with that risk out there. So that is a precedent that can't be defeated. I think they're hoping, and while obviously everyone is hoping that Trump isn't the nominee, which by the way is a thing that's going to help get him the nomination.
Yeah.
These guys are hoping he won't be the nominee. I don't think, some of them might delusionally think he's going to get indicted, but I think that even the realists among them assume that there will be, as I said, this miasma that will drag him down.
I mean, I think I've been seeing like a lot of people wish casting for is that Biden pardons Trump, that he is convicted, but Biden pardons him to heal the nation and bring them together. So like, as someone who was pardoned of a crime, can you still run for president?
Okay, so this is very interesting because you are explicitly barred from seeking the presidency, or I think any elected office if you are successfully removed from office after being impeached, which is a big argument that a lot of the people had who really wanted to push harder right after the January 6th to like immediately do impeachment like that night.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, if they'd held the vote that night, they might have got somewhere. It's possible because those guys were actually scared out of their fucking minds. They were terrified and they had no idea what the media was going to respond. And they were all like in the air, like, oh, and they were all saying that it was horrifying because they were absolutely spooked. But the thing is, Democrats cannot act that way. It's constitutionally impossible for them. They missed their shot if they had one, and now it's gone. I'm sorry. It's gone. So sorry. Nobody cares. Old news. And I really just don't think that that's true. I think they want it to be true. I think that every story about this fucking raid and about the investigation just gets Republican voters more on his side.
Yeah.
I remember Rick Perlstein said that he did a panel with some like hardcore movement conservative intellectuals about Nixon. And Perlstein was like talking about all those horrible crimes and how he like had genuinely like transgressed in unprecedented ways over certain things. And one of the panelists said to him, I didn't like Nixon until Watergate. And I feel like even if you kind of want to move beyond the election, if you're sick of hearing about it, which I think that was honestly the thing that might have hurt Trump, is just people not wanting the whole election to be about the last election. They were just wanting him to move on. Now they got something to move on to that casts him as once again as the persecuted victim of the combined forces of the
FBI stormtroopers
and the media and the Democratic Republican and the establishment of he validates every one of their conceived beliefs about how things work every day that he's investigated.
I mean, it's just like this whole list and like. And one more thing I want to say about DeSantis is interesting. Is sort of similar to Donald Trump. I have noticed that he has started to try talking like Trump. Yep. And I saw an image of him today at the Turning Point USA.
He was standing
normal, like Trump,
exceedingly normal standing. And I have to say that was elite level.
Sort of like arms sort of
arms
slightly
out to the side,
leaning forward, slightly bent at the waist,
like an
ill-fitting suit.
Yeah, sort of like an action figure in the box.
Yeah. Still in the original plastic.
Yeah, just there. No, he's got the standing down. He's getting the voice down. But I'm sorry. We said this earlier
he knows
on
the
a
words,
previous
but
episode.
not the music.
I guarantee you, DeSantis is trying to like somehow arrange it to like fake an FBI raid of the governor's mansion. He needs something to. This is a thing where he can't make the news because this requires some sort of reaction that he has not run afoul of. So he's going to have somebody like take a shot at him or something. Like seriously, he's gonna have to get some Antifa to like try to shoot him, Bob Roberts style.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, how does he stay in the news? If all the news is about Trump, then he defines the issue, and it's very much harder for him to stand out. I think that this stuff actually makes Trump even more of a fucking front runner.
I guess the whole thing of this list is that it's just like once again it's the establishment media wish casting, trying to create through sort of like The Secret, to sort of conjure a reality where things can go back to normal, where that the Republican Party will be
normalized.
It will be nice and normal.
Get us some
again.
normality, please.
And just to create and kind of craft and sort of conjure into being a reality where Republican voters are not 100% united behind my president, your president, still President Donald J. Trump.
The eternal president.
Yes, the God Emperor.
He is now and forever has been our president.
You've always been the caretaker. I should know, sir. I've always been here.